for a big game, and colorful fans are ready. Tonight, the 8th-ranked Cougars claw their way into Fort Worth, where they'll find the 24th-ranked Horned Frogs all fired up for Mountain West Conference football on Versus. It is a special night, and we're thrilled to be here. Along with Glenn Parker, I'm Joe Beninati. Tim Neverett lends a hand soon. This is a very big game, Glenn, especially within the Mountain West.
Absolutely. This is 1/3 of the round robin that will decide the conference title between BYU, TCU, and of course Utah.
BYU has long been known to produce outstanding quarterbacks, and Max Hall is doing everything within his power to protect that legacy.
Well, he is coming through with that legacy. Let me tell you, here's a kid that is already completing 70% of his passes. Now, he's got a lot of weapons, that's true, but it's really his decision-making, his confidence, his presence in the huddle, and the way he leads this team that is so impressive.
You mentioned all those weapons. These 3 stars keep shining brightly.
3 levels of offense. Harvey Unga out of the backfield, Austin Colley running the perimeter, and Dennis Pitta down the middle. Look at the absolute amount of offense they're putting up.
So tonight's game is elementary in one sense when you match all that BYU scoring prowess against all the accolades of the TCU defense.
Yeah, the TCU defense, it's a lot of speed, but really, take a look at where they are. They are the NCAA leaders. Run defense, total defense, sacks, first downs allowed. These guys are speedy and to the ball, absolute hawks. Now, Jerry Hughes, he's that first level of defense. Speed to the ball, disrupt the passer. He gets after it, and he has got speed to burn. Robert Henson, he'll plug holes. He's a great linebacker, and he can get in the flat and help out in coverage. And then there's that third level, Stephen Hodge. He's a linebacker, he's a safety, he's both, he's pure speed. That's everything about this defense, speed, speed, speed.
So it's strength against strength until we consider all the possible X factors.
Absolutely, 2 strengths usually phase each other out. So what will be the X factor? Is it going to be BYU's defense, or is it going to be TCU's offense?
Mentioning the offense, those TCU QBs can run all day. Andy Dalton's rolling as the lead dog. Marcus Jackson won't be far behind. A fast-acting insurance policy, which makes good business sense when Jan Jorgensen is breathing down your neck. BYU's best pass rusher wants the football. Next on Versus. 6-0 BYU, 6-1 TCU. Enough said. Let's go down to the field and check out the Under Armour click-clack cam.
The last sound you hear before you step on the field. Click, clack.
TCU, first time since '04, wearing the black jerseys. Tim Neverett joins us field level, and Tim, Harvey Unga had a little bit of a scare prior to this one.
And so did the BYU faithful. It was reported that Harvey Unga had participated in a flag football game, so the NCAA had to check into it. He was not cleared to play until last night. He missed the team charter, had to fly to Dallas commercially and drive over to Fort Worth, Texas. Turns out it was a family game in a city league. He took a couple of snaps. They say he's okay and he's ready to play.
And very much looking forward to this big-time clash in the Mountain West Conference. Return specialists O'Neal Chambers and Reed White ready for the kick from Drew Combs. Here at Amon Carter Stadium in Fort Worth, and the fans have been in a frenzy since 2 hours before kickoff. Chambers waits from the 15. Skips past one tackler and pushes it to the 34-yard line. BYU comes out under the direction of Max Hall, the junior from Mesa, Arizona, making a dent in BYU's impressive record book. Touchdown to interception ratio this year, a pristine 5-1. All the facets of this offense seem to be second nature to him right now. Harvey Unga is with him in the backfield. And it is Unga who gets the first carry. Stiff arming away from one, wheeling his way across the 40. Good pickup on first down, give him close to 7. Wrangler starting lineups, backs and receivers. Unga's a two-way threat. Vakapuna equals battering ram. Colley on a roll. Reed's knees feeling better, and the tight end Pitta is one of the finest in the land. Offensive line, Matt Reynolds is a future star. Feng is all conference. Reynolds has seen it all. Dallas, that is. Bright and Oswald crash and mash. short. It's Unga again, working against the most difficult defense to run on in the land. TCU's front four puts pressure on. Hughes is making headlines. Moore invests inside, tough to budge. Panfill's hungry for sacks. The linebackers, Henson and Phillips, vital to this D's gaudy numbers. Hodge is a hitter in the secondary. Coleman will pick you off. Johnson covers a lot of ground, and then Sanders and Priest on the corners. Talent and tons of experience. Both of them are three-year starters on the corners. Third and very short.
Joe, BYU comes out very content to let their big, heavy offensive line smash the lighter TCU, wear them down a little bit, and win that field position game already.
Bronco Mendenhall with that sparkling record now in 4 seasons as the bench boss in Provo, matching wits with Gary Patterson, who is also of the very high winning percentage. Colley comes in short motion. Hall to throw. It's intercepted and dropped. Darrell Washington would have had a cakewalk to the end zone.
Great job, Darrell Washington dropping into the flat. He knew on short motion Colley would do the little dig. You watch Colley on short motion right here. Here you can see Max Hall never saw Darrell Washington come across from that spot. It was a short little dig on short motion. Darrell Washington right there with his hands up, but proves why he plays linebacker, not running back.
Hall on a little bubble, and the tight end Dennis Pitta gets wrapped up and mauled. Colin Jones teaming up with Stephen Coleman. Pitta, who had such a wonderful start to the campaign, shattering Mountain West tight end records, is always a valuable asset for Max Hall when he's in trouble.
Well, they'll like to go to Pitta. The thing with Pitta is he stretches the seam route, so he puts pressure on your linebackers and your safeties to cover that part of the field. That opens up the perimeter a little bit more.
Unga and Vakapuna in the backfield with Hall on 3rd and long. And this is exactly what Dick Bumpus, the defensive coordinator, and Gary Patterson wanted for TCU. Hall feeling the pressure. Knocked down. Fumbled the football. Off the scramble. TCU says they've got it. They do. Matt Panfill, the senior from right here in Fort Worth.
Well, we're going to look at it from a field level, see what Max sees. He's looking downfield. Jerry Hughes just way too fast for Oswald out there, getting around the corner, using the tomahawk chop, get that ball loose, create turnovers early.
A rough first series for Heisman hopeful. Hall almost had a pick 6, and then he fumbles to give TCU the short field.
Well, with the almost pick, that's his fault probably. With the sack, your tackle's gotta get some footwork moving there, get his feet moving, get his hands out and block, and stay with the block.
Dalton, when he's right, he runs their read option very well, back off of a knee injury and throwing off the pump fake, looking deep in the direction of Antoine Hicks. It falls incomplete. And there is a flag thrown.
Well, the official right there, the field judge didn't see it, but the back judge is the one that threw the flag. Let's see what he's going to tell us happened.
Terry Layden is tonight's referee in Fort Worth here at Amon Carter Stadium, the home of the TCU Horned Frogs, and what a difficult and rude host they have been to their guests over the years.
Interference, number 4 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Bronco Mendenhall said the last couple of weeks, and especially last week in their win against New Mexico, the team responded against adversity.
Well, as you get a look here at the replay, you can see right there Brandon Howard didn't really look back until after the contact, and that's what they're calling. The ball's in the air, he's contact, that's interference.
Play action to Turner, Dalton to throw to the end zone corner, touchdown! A strike for Jimmy Young, 25 yards, and TCU bolts to the lead.
Well, you know what? You get a little double move out there. What do? They come out. Everybody expects them to run. They're the spread option team. Well, they throw, put it in the hands of Dalton, let him throw a little bit, and there's the big strike.
The true freshman place kicker, Ross Evans, comes on to tack on the extra point. And he bangs it right on through. Whistles and a flag down.
The snap. False start number 76 of the kicking team. We will replay the try after a 5-yard penalty.
So Evans will get a little more practice. There's the guilty culprit. TCU coming out firing. The defense forcing the early turnover. And then Dalton to his lead receiver, Jimmy Young, for 25. And now Evans will try to make the lead 7. Which he does. First touchdown pass on the year for Dalton. On the phone upstairs with his offensive coordinator, Schultz. The play action froze people, and then Dalton throws that frozen rope for Young. It's TCU on top and happy about it. Beautiful night for football in Fort Worth. Temperatures in the 60s, and those dressed in purple are very, very pleased with the outset. In the game's first 3 minutes, their hometown heroes get the advantage over the 8th-ranked BYU Cougars. Taking advantage of an early fumble and then a Dalton to Young touchdown pass, giving those in black the lead. O'Neal Chambers from the 6. Finds a little crease, then gets jackknifed down to the 29. Drew Combs doing his job, and now Max Hall will stride back to pilot this BYU offense, as prolific as you'll find in the Mountain West Conference, right there with TCU, right there with Utah, when you get to bang for the buck offensively.
Yeah, and what they've got to do, they came out and they ran the ball very effectively, then went to the pass in their second series. So what they need to do is their first set of downs, they did a nice job running, eating clock, getting field position, and then they opened up a bit. They need to mix it up maybe a bit more right off the bat.
Staying on the ground, another fumble! It's still loose, Hughes digging for it. And the offensive lineman for the Cougars sprinting back to make that cover up in the nick of time. The youngster, Matt Reynolds.
Well, here's your replay. Here's Harvey Unga gets it, Fuli Vakapuna gets it hit out with a cleat, it appeared. Fuli gets it knocked out. I tell you what, that's a freak accident, but you've got to have better ball control than that. That ball has to have 3 points of pressure. He only had it down very low, so when the foot hit it, knocked it square out. He did not have that 3 points of pressure that running backs talk about.
And then the uncomfortable 2nd and 20.
Not a lot of plays in the playbook for this one.
Hall finding Unga, knocked down by 3 tacklers. First to say hello is Stephen Coleman. They get 6 back. And Harvey Unga, a 2-pronged threat. Excellent out of the backfield, catching the football, and if he can run north and south, he's awfully tough.
Well, he is, and that's one thing that when you talk to Dick Bumpus, when you talk to the defensive coordinator, and when you talk to Gary Patterson, what do they want to do? Make them go outside. Make them spread horizontally. Don't let them come north and south on it, because Harvey Unga can run really nice patterns north and south. He's not as good going laterally.
Decibel level rising on 3rd and 13. Coming with a blitz. Hall over the middle between defenders, and it's knocked away. Robert Henson all around the football from his linebacker spot, and BYU will have to punt.
Well, here you go. You're going to get a good look at Pitta just running the dig, but it's over the top and underneath. Henson underneath does a nice job putting it so that the ball has to come over him. The ball floats a little bit, and there's your safety in perfect position to make the hit.
C.J. Santiago will now punt, and the dangerous Jeremy Curley back deep for the Horned Frogs. A low liner. Squirts towards the sideline, gets a good and friendly roll.
It appeared
did it touch a Horned Frog?
Yes, it did. It hit the backside. It appeared it hit the backside of Raphael Priest running down there. It was hard as hell.
The officials are going to confer. BYU says it's their ball. A low lining punt that had a lot of English on it and may very well have struck an up back for TCU, who was unsuspecting.
Yeah, the man running with the Gunners was running blocking. Look, he had his back turned to the play. It appeared that the ball bounced off the ground and hit him.
The officials in conference.
Illegal touching by the kicking team. By rule, the ball will be placed at the spot of first touching.
Well, they're saying that it did not, and therefore, we'll take a look here. Very tough to tell from that angle if it did hit Rafael Priest or not. But excuse me, that's not, you get a look. He certainly reacts as if it's touched him. And that's what you expect. But here's another look, much better. I don't know. Boy, you talk about a tough call. You can't fault the officials on that one. We've looked at it 3 times and can't tell. They get one shot.
By the way, Tyler Kozlowski reacted and pounced upon it. He thought the Cougars were going to get a gift.
Yeah, Cordero Hunter's the defender that, or excuse me, the TCU gunner out there that was blocking that I think thought it hit him as well. But as I said, we've looked how many times and we couldn't tell the difference. As we see, they're obviously going to take a look at it. They're giving it their best shot here, Joe. They're gonna...
If you're just tuning in with us, Mountain West Conference football on Versus. This was that last punt.
From right there, that ball didn't change its course. My guess is it did not hit Cordero Hunter. And I don't know if I don't think there's enough here, Joe, to overturn this one at all. And as I said, we saw it how many times and weren't able to tell. You cannot fault those officials down on the field for not seeing that one. And I think that they're doing the right thing. They're going to take a look and try to get this right.
Glenn, I'm not so sure they are reviewing it. The call on the field was illegal touching. Referee Terry Layden informed us of that. Made his timeout signal, and both teams have had the chance to catch their breath.
Discussion, the first touch was by the receiving team. The ball was recovered by the kicking team and will be placed at the 32-yard line.
I tell you.
And a dead ball delay for sideline interference foul against BYU.
A little bit of everything.
BYU.
They throw the book at him.
Yeah, so they do give the ball back to BYU now, saying that it was touched by the receiving team.
Well, the officials still sorting things out. Those of you watching at home might say this is a mangled mess, as Layden now gets the headset for the review.
Better to look at it, better to get it right. That's what this all comes down to. Here's a very good look at it. Very tough to tell from there. Might have gotten his ankle right as it hit, but it certainly didn't hit any other part of him. We'll take another look from another angle. Here we go. This is good. It's Cordero Hunter there. You certainly couldn't see it there. And that's the best look, and I don't see it hitting him, but that's me. And I'm not an official, but I don't see that hitting him.
And now, when all is said and done, BYU has hustled its offense back onto the field. As this play is under review, Joe Beninati, Glenn Parker upstairs. Tim Neverett is our sideline reporter this evening. We are all assembled in Fort Worth, Texas for this Mountain West Conference showdown on Versus. Gary Patterson, the coach, bottom of your screen, working against Bronco Mendenhall. These two respective head coaches, very, very complimentary of each other's program in the short week leading up to this Thursday night special.
Well, if two coaches have done better with what they have over the course of the last 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, Gary Patterson has done such a job with this TCU program, building it into a nationally prominent program that goes out and plays big time. And of course, Broncos resurrected BYU in a very short 4 years and has led them on some impressive runs and playing big time programs around the country. So they certainly have done a good job of going out and representing the Mountain West. These two coaches have been a big part of the Mountain West success.
Tipping their cap earlier in the week, BYU was to the defensive culture year after year at TCU. As you look at where Bronco Mendenhall stands among coaches in their 4th season around the nation, and another Mountain Wester is right there beneath him, Kyle Whittingham's Utah Utes, and of course they want to be included in every discussion at the top of the conference in the Mountain West.
They should be, Joe. I mean, they've played some good competition as well, went into the Big House, beating Michigan, beating Oregon State on a Thursday night. So, yeah, Utah
After video
deserves to be
review, the
there.
play calls stands as was called on the field.
Which means Max Hall takes over. After a couple of shaky series in which the Cougars have just a grand total of 3 yards, they now work inside TCU's defensive territory off the play action. Hall over the middle and too long for his intended target. That's the reserve tight end Andrew George. TJ Johnson was running with George in coverage. George posted 2 touchdowns last week in the win over New Mexico at the hand of Hall.
Well, Andrew George is a bigger target than Dennis Pitta. It almost looked like he stopped on the route there. It was tough to tell. Hall overthrew him by a lot, so you wonder if there was a miscommunication on what they were both seeing in the secondary there.
Approaching the 5-minute mark of the opening quarter in Fort Worth. 2nd and 10 for Hall, staying comfortable in that shotgun. They'll run it. It's Unga, tracked down by Jason Phillips, the All-Mountain West Conference linebacker, after a pickup of 2.
Well, what you're seeing is a great job by the linebacker so far for TCU of flying to the gaps, taking on double teams at the line of scrimmage, and flying into the gaps to stop the leads and stop the out-of-backfield routes, option routes by Harvey Unga. So far, they're doing exactly what they want to do, but it's still very early.
BYU's had a lot of the football. TCU's one offensive play turned out to be a touchdown. This is 3rd and long. Hall going to his second read underneath it's Unga, and he's tripped up just shy of that 1st down yardage. Again, Phillips was there. They'll give him close to 6.
Well, here's that decision you talk about. You're pretty far out right now to try a field goal. You've got to kick a pretty long one here, or you go for it and hope to get that 1 yard with your big back or a little play action.
Checking flags around the stadium, there does not seem to be much of a breeze either way. On 4th and 1, BYU will go for it. The Cougars are perfect in these instances this year. They don't have very many of these situations. Unga got knocked down, and he's short.
TJ Johnson, the safety, came flying up, took on the lead, got past the lead block, and made the play in the backfield, allowed Robert Henson to get in there as well. Great job of attacking the line of scrimmage, attacking lateral movement. You watch there, there's Unga. Here's TJ Johnson in there, and then Henson comes in from the backside. But TJ Johnson, great job from his safety spot. And here he is right there, gets right past the lead block of Fui Bakapuna. Phillips, you know, the coach's kid we always talk about, great job of taking on that lead block, allowing TJ Johnson to get in and make that play.
Glenn, as advertised, TCU's defense flying to the football with speed. Now Ryan Christian breaks to the outside. He's undercut there. Spun around and tripped up after a pickup of 4. Backs and receivers for TCU. Wrangler-wise, Brown's a big play threat. Young leads him in catches. Bryant's a tall target. Johnson's dependable. And Reagan earns 1st downs with every catch. The O-line, plenty of muscle. Newhouse, Schluter, Montgomery start every game with gusto. Dooley at left guard and Richmond at right tackle, cracking back into the lineup tonight. On 2nd and 6, Art Johnson in motion. The quick option pitch. Christian wrapped up there by Sean Doman. A gain of close to 5. Defensively, it's a 3-man front that's relentless for the Cougars. Denny is consistent. Tialavea's positioning's improved. Jorgensen draws a lot of attention. 4 backers chase the football. Nixon's special. Bauman has a feature role. Doman and Clausen have both been solid. And in the secondary, Howard is crazy fast on one corner. Johnson sticks you at the other. Tafuna's a tough guy, and Fowler is extremely savvy. Straight ahead running. Picking up the 1st down yardage across the 40.
You know, the average fan looks at that play right there. Yeah, they're happy they got a new set of downs, but they don't realize how important that 1st down is as far as field position goes. If you're Coach Schultz right now, Mike Schultz, the offensive coordinator for TCU, you've got a lot more you can do here. You can open your playbook up a little bit, and if you have to punt, you've won the field position battle. That's big time for him.
You addressed it with both coaching staffs. As stout as these defenses are, field position and punting game going to be hypercritical.
That's absolutely right. Offenses, you want to force offenses to go the long field.
Curley takes a direct snap, and he's got room. Jeremy Curley inside BYU territory all the way to the 36.
Jeremy Curley, he's that kid who's a wide receiver, will line up in the backfield, he'll do reverses, takes that one, runs the option very well. Of course, it's because he was quarterback in high school, but here he is with the snap. There's the option. The minute the option read goes to himself, he takes off and goes.
Jeremy Curley, Hutto High School, the district MVP, the Central Texas Athlete of the Year during his high school days. He just picked up 23. Dalton is back in there under center, Blake Schluter. Play action, wide open. And down the sideline for a pickup of 15 to Joseph Turner, who's the big bull of a back in that TCU backfield. He was run out of bounds by Matt Bauman.
You can see right away Mike Schultz, offensive coordinator, what he's trying to do is get this very aggressive, pursuit-oriented defense of BYU on their heels. They got Curley running. They've got shots going down the field in the first series. Right now, their offense doesn't look anything like what BYU would have seen on film for the most part.
A TCU squad that has lost 5 straight Thursday night games, showing absolutely no stage fright right now. Keep it on the ground with Turner. And he's dropped in his tracks. Andrew Rich getting in there to undercut Turner, who's right there on top of the heap when it comes to rushing touchdowns in the Mountain West. And it's a TCU team that's been very, very efficient, picking up first downs in 5 instances in just 7 total plays. Curley back in there at the quarterback position with 5 wides to choose from. Quarterback draw. Curley inside the 10. Curley all the way. Touchdown! Jeremy Curley and the TCU Horned Frogs electrifying the crowd.
Well, you spread them out, you go 5 wides. Now you've only got 1 man to spy on Curley. It's a mismatch. A linebacker on Curley, a great mismatch. If you're TCU, you're thinking quarterback draw and I can get away.
The extra point try is right down the chute from Ross Evans. Jeremy Curley with a couple of big running plays during that drive. For TCU in the first 9 minutes, an absolutely letter-perfect game plan and a 14-love lead. Homestanding TCU ranked 24th. Playing host to BYU and on top with 2 touchdown strikes in the game's first 9 minutes. The last one provided by Jeremy Curley, putting the finishing touches on a 72-yard drive in a little less than 3 minutes. Gary Patterson with all of his little idiosyncrasies on the sidelines, all those peccadillos when we push in on him, but boy, does he ever know how to construct a defensive approach to a game.
I think he understands how to completely construct his team to get ready for games. He hasn't done well so far on Thursdays as we've talked about, but overall this program just gets better and better every year.
O'Neal, Chambers, and Reed White back for BYU. Chambers from the 12.
Chambers from the 11.
Long stride, knocked down sharply at the 27. Let's revisit the Curley touchdown.
Well, you've got 5 wide, so you've only got Curley in the backfield. Now watch right here, Matt Bauman right here. He's gonna drop into coverage right here. There is too much green for Matt Bauman, a middle backer, a Mike backer, to come up and tackle Curley in space. One move, Bauman's on his knees, breaking his ankles. Great move by Curley. Really nicely designed quarterback draw by Coach Schultz, the offensive coordinator of TCU.
The biggest hole that BYU has been in this season. Straight ahead for Harvey Unga. And Unga diving to the 33, where TJ Johnson met him. Robert Nye was telling us during the week they will not put in a lot of misdirection. They don't want to take Max Hall's eyes off of his reads. We thought they might with all that speed on the TCU defensive side.
Yeah, Robert Nye understands this, and there's a great shot of him there. He understands my guys do what they do well. That's what I have to build my game plan around. So he doesn't want to put in a lot of stuff they don't normally do for a big game that you want kids to be able to focus on their job.
Hall with time. Sips it out there into the flat. And Reed was wrapped up as we check in with Tim Neverett with more on that TCU defensive perspective.
Joe, after the last defensive series for TCU, Gary Patterson came over and talked to the troops, and specifically to Jason Phillips, and he said, keep an eye on that back slipping out of the backfield. They're trying to limit either Fui Vakapuna or Harvey Unga out in space, and he's got the middle linebackers watching out for them.
Well, Max Hall has both of those guys, Tim, with him in the backfield now on 3rd and 3. 1 for 4 in terms of 3rd down so far for BYU in the opening quarter. Hall puts it right on the money to Dennis Pitta, and Pitta has the 1st down for BYU.
Now, you said right on the money, and it couldn't have been any better coverage right there by Stephen Hodge. He was on him all the way. But Pitta's a good, very good tight end, and Max Hall could not have thrown the ball any better. Right where it had to be, where only his guy could catch it. Fantastic job.
Glenn, he counteracts a pass rush so well because he gets rid of the ball so quickly.
Well, that and the fact that he moves like he's in a phone booth. He doesn't move a lot. He moves just enough to step up and get into his throws without putting himself in danger.
Just the 2nd 1st down on the night. Unga trapped. Tied up there after a gain of 3. Folks, this Saturday, some great college football in the Big 12 and Pac-10 comes your way. First, 12:30 Eastern. Want to let you know about that new show, Sports Soup, that's coming up immediately following our Mountain West Conference football action. Matt Eisman and friends, they broke ground on Tuesday. Eisman is Ivy League trained. Did you know that?
I did not.
I believe he has a medical degree. Vakapuna to midfield. Stacked up by Jason Phillips, a short gain of 2.
Jason Phillips, great job. You would talk about your linebackers. What do they have to do? It's tough against BYU. You got to watch out for that tight end releasing. You got to watch out for Harvey Unga or Fui Vakapuna out of the backfield. But they're doing a great job of understanding, winning the battle within a yard or 2 of that line of scrimmage, and then playing from there.
BYU averaging less than 2 yards per play in this 1st quarter. Third and 5. Showing blitz. Hall steps up in the pocket. Has a man wide open, and it's Pitta keeping it in the family. All the way to the TCU 35, a gain of 15. There's a flag down.
Now the linesman is getting an earful from Coach Patterson right now.
Moving now to the tail end of this opening quarter. An Andy Dalton to Jimmy Young touchdown pass. And a sprint touchdown from Jeremy Curley. 14-0 TCU.
Sideline interference. TCU. This is a 5-yard penalty. 1st down BYU.
What happened, I believe, is as the line went to move, he ran into Coach Gary Patterson. That threw the flag a little bit late. That's why we had a hard time picking it up. That's why Coach Patterson was so upset. I believe he was in the way of the linesman moving up and down the sideline.
Is it me, or is that the 2nd time I've heard that in the opening quarter tonight?
Once on BYU, once on TCU. These officials are calling a very tight game so far.
TCU last week in a win against Colorado State, 11 penalties. Hall fires it. Intercepted. The Horned Frogs doing the job defensively and snaking his way, Nick Sanders. And they are fired up on that TCU sideline.
Well, he had Austin Collie come under Unga out of the backfield, so he looked for Dennis Pitta behind it. It was read perfectly by TCU.
On a rare night when BYU has been mistake-prone, TCU has taken full advantage. Sanders, the latest thief. So here's unbeaten BYU, 6-0 overall, 2-0 in the conference, the 2-time defending Mountain West Conference champs on the ropes in the 1st quarter and in need of a big defensive stop right now. A pass for Christian that's high. as we revisit the last defensive stop for TCU and the interception for Sanders.
Well, you see Austin Collie here. He's going to come up and run. Now, they just almost picked that ball off. Well, this time Pitta comes down and just going to run a little dig. Watch right here. Sanders never bites, never comes up to help out. He stays right behind the play. Run it right here, and you're going to see a beautiful job by Sanders, staying at home, right on that hash. Boom, picked off, gone. Great job by the corner, job by the safety, because as the quarterback looked, he saw safety sitting deep, didn't see cornerback come under.
Aaron Brown getting outside off the option pitch. David Nixon, the team's outstanding linebacker for BYU, ran him out of real estate as Sanders collects his breath on the sideline. TCU's defense has definitely done its job, and the offense has cooperated too so far.
Gary Patterson right now with his defense has done such a good job of confusing Max Hall. He looked and thought for sure Collie was covered. Therefore, the safety being deep, there was nobody else out there, threw it right to the corner.
Third down efficiency, one of TCU's strengths. Dalton shows you why, putting it right into the hands of Bart Johnson. Brandon Bradley was there in coverage. 13 more yards. TCU is moving it again.
Well, you just said third down efficiency, one of their strengths. They're over 50% for the year, Joe. And that what they're doing is they get themselves manageable. They don't try to gain a lot. If they're 3rd and 12, they're not looking to get a whole bunch back. Get what you can, get it back to where there's something in your playbook to get it.
Whenever we get in the ear of Andy Dalton or Mike Schultz, the offensive coordinator, they say Bart Johnson is oh so dependable. That was an easy pitch and catch. In motion, Jonathan Jones. Aaron Brown, who missed the first 3 games of the TCU season, suspended after violating university policy. Bauman stiffened defensively inside among those 4 very active BYU linebackers.
Yeah, the linebacking core for BYU, they move very, very well side to side. They're very good at running sideline to sideline. So what do you have to do? Well, what they've done now is they've attacked them deep over the top with the pass, and they've spread them out and gone direct snap to Curley. Now Curley is in the backfield again.
Big play so far for TCU. Curley is in the shotgun. Quarterback draw. Slicing off tackle. Curley turns the corner and then steps out of bounds at the 14. Jeremy Curley doing it all. Another rushing gain of 20.
And what they're doing is they're putting him in the backfield, but they're putting their normal quarterback, Andy Dalton, out as a wide receiver. So it's not like you can change your personnel based on what comes in the game. And that's very, very smart by Mike Schultz. Once they get there and spread them out, now your linebackers are on islands against this kid.
Meanwhile, in Salt Lake City, I'm imagining Matt Asiata, who runs with a lot more aggression than Curley, is sitting there and going, direct snaps seem to work against BYU.
Yep, I think that you're absolutely right. Utah's watching this game.
Curley, 60 yards on just 3 carries. Dalton's back in there. Brown inside and all the way down to the 6, maybe the 5. Aaron Brown dancing for 10 more, and right now TCU had BYU's defense guessing.
Well, what they're doing, as well as their defense, is they're using their speed. They're putting speed on BYU, and BYU has a pretty fast defense, but they're not near to the speed that the wide receivers and running backs at TCU are. So rather than attack them head on and let their strength beat them, they're getting them out in space and beating them with speed.
Folks, BYU has only allowed 17 points in the last 4 games. The fewest in any 4-game stretch for them in 70 years. They are in jeopardy of allowing 3 touchdowns in a quarter right now. Dalton lowering his head on the quarterback keep, that zone read option.
That was a fullback lead with the quarterback holding the ball. He's looking at the read option, pulls the ball, and then follows his back through the hole. Kind of a giveaway play there almost. If you're a TCU fan, you're wondering what that was about. Well, we're set for the end of the quarter.
15 very productive minutes for those in Fort Worth and rooting for the Horned Frogs. TCU on top. BYU on upset alert after 1/2 in Fort Worth, Texas. TCU on top, and before quarter 3 kicks, Tim Neverett has Bronco Mendenhall.
Bronco, kind of uncharted waters for your team. What did you tell them at halftime?
Oh, I think the real identity of this team will be determined this half. Their execution, their will, how hard they play. TCU deserves a lot of credit. They're playing very well.
What kind of adjustments you think you need to make to their defense?
Oh, I think that just protection in general hasn't been as strong, and we haven't been as good on third down. So if we can get those two things straightened out, I think we'll be able to move the ball.
Bronco, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see how things play out in quarter number 3. From a quarterback comparison standpoint, Andy Dalton's team has the lead, so you would say he's having the better night, and the numbers would indicate that.
Well, they would when you look at it's not just number of attempts, but then you look at the yards. It's efficiency is what you're seeing out of Andy Dalton. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's throwing the ball well. He's throwing it on time. Max Hall's been out of rhythm all night. He's got the 1 turnover, and he's not completing a high percentage at this point.
Dalton back in the lineup for TCU after missing a couple of games with a knee injury. He and the Horned Frogs will get it to start the 3rd. Stephen Hodge and Aaron Brown are back deep, waiting for the kick from Justin Sorensen. As we continue with more Mountain West Conference football on Versus. From the 1, there's room. Brown on his horse, down the sideline, and he tiptoes out of bounds, and he's hating himself for it.
Well, a little speed and a little less balance. That's what happened to Mr. Brown there. But I'll tell you what happens when the special teams fall down. Look at BYU's center of the field. Guys are hitting the ground in about 3, 2, 1. There's 2 guys on the ground. Huge gap opens up. Now he's got to beat 1 guy. He's going to pick up a great block right there. Pow! Eat some of that. Gets himself too wide. That's what happens when you have too much speed. You can't control yourself.
Brown had a 75-yard kick return in the loss to Oklahoma. He got one for 56 right there, giving TCU the football on the BYU side of the 50. Turner bowling his way straight ahead. Our first half stats, 30 minutes complete. The number breakdown looks like this.
Well, scores the big one. First downs, you've doubled them. Rushing yards, wow. That is a wow. That's one of those ones you look at and say, that's why TCU's winning right there, rushing yards. And then as you move down, total yards and, of course, average yards per play, big.
Glenn, it's insane. TCU allows 0.9 yards per rushing attempt. 0.9.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Uh-huh. As they run the ball now, keeping that prize defense on the sideline with Turner again. The bruising back greeted by David Nixon. A Texas native wanted to come home and author another BYU victory. This team with the longest win streak in the land. And yes, that Horned Frog signal has been flying high at Amon Carter Stadium. 3rd down and 3. Dalton to throw. Wide open. It spun around his intended target. The catch made just the same by Jimmy Young. He got to the inside on Johnson. He grabbed 17 more yards.
Well, you take a look, Dalton, very decisive here. Throws on rhythm. Little behind Mr. Young, but good job of Young grabbing the end of the ball, bringing it in, getting that catch. They're doing a nice job right now, Mike Schultz, of giving Andy Dalton throws that he can make, number 1, but putting it on rhythm for him. And if BYU's helping, they're not covering well.
Blitz coming from the outside. They run the football. Turner right into the teeth of that defense. Sean Doman was one of the guys in there, along with Colby Clausen, pickup of 2. Doman, whose cousin Brandon is the quarterback coach for Matt Hall. Trying to inspire the troops now at the outset of quarter number 3. Curley in the backfield takes the direct snap, and there's a flag down before the play begins.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 79. Offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
You can call him out. He's a big guy. I don't like to do that.
He's really big. 6'8", 320, Nick Richmond. Played tennis in high school. How'd you like to try to pass him at the net with a 7-foot wide wingspan?
I wouldn't do any lobs, I'll tell you that.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Did I impress you with my tennis knowledge then?
Well done. Curley stays in there to take the shotgun snap from Blake Schluter. Sprints with it. Lowers his head, gets close to the 16. Jeremy Curley was a vital cog in the attack for TCU in the opening half.
Change of pace, speed guy who can run the option. He doesn't have to just take off. Then you can run the draw with him as well, get out on the corner and get some yards. And then you can spread them wide out and say, okay, now see if your linebacker can get me. And Bauman couldn't get him, and that resulted in a score. Very good change of pace for this offense.
It's a BYU defense that's only allowed 7 touchdowns all year coming into tonight. They surrendered 3 in the first half. TCU's been very effective on third down, 7 of 9. Dalton sprints away from pressure, tucks it down, and jogs out of bounds at the 14. Nixon ushered him to the sideline.
But, you know, again, it's about being impressed with a quarterback and decision-making skills. Not turning the ball over. You know, just because you're up 23-0 doesn't mean you can't put more points on the board. So make the right decision, get yourself out of bounds, put the ball where now you've got a pretty good kick and a pretty easy kick to make rather than turning the ball over or forcing a longer field goal.
The youngster Evans will try this one from 31. He's made his last 9 field goal attempts. This one curls and hooks and stays true. TCU's lead, 26-0. Fans young and old enjoying it at Amon Carter Stadium. We'll get you back to Fort Worth in a moment on Versus. The makings of an upset, and in shocking fashion so far, with plenty of time to go in the second half. TCU leads unbeaten BYU by 26.
The first drive of the third quarter is pivotal for both teams. TCU did a nice job. One field position, got a field goal. BYU must get something done here in order to establish themselves in the second half. If they don't, they are really putting themselves behind the 8 ball. I guess further behind the 8 ball.
Drew Combs set to kick it. Once again, if you weren't with us in the first half, born with a left arm that ends just below the elbow. Chambers from the 8. Got as far as the 27 before he's pushed back into the pile. As we send you to Tim Neverett, standing by with Dr. Danny Morrison, the Director of Athletics at TCU.
That's right. We're in this gorgeous new $13 million facility that's in the end zone that has unbelievable amenities. Tell us about your new complex here.
We're really excited about it. It's got 255 club seats, 6 suites. They're all sold out. And we also have good football elements. We have a good brand new team meeting room, which is fabulous, well as some more academic space, and then a team gathering area.
Am I the only one up here who hasn't written a check to the university?
Well, we're looking for your check, so that'd be nice, too.
That's in the mail. Joe?
Guys, thanks very much. There's a flag down. All the great resources at TCU on display. Take a peek at the facilities on campus. And, of course, Glenn, a very, very rich area to recruit from in the state of Texas.
Well, the state of Texas recruiting #1, and when you put a facility like that, you're talking that TCU is up the ante with that new facility. The meeting room is the best one I've ever seen, better than any NFL team I was on. It's that good. It's really well thought out.
Offside. 98 of the defense. This penalty is declined. Second down.
Get themselves an offside there on the defense, but really well thought out. The academic area, the tutorial rooms, nicely done. And then the club area for the donors. They thought about them. They thought it wasn't just about a check. It's how do you make that an experience for them. They did a great job.
TCU and BYU building their rivalry. Of course, the BYU-Utah rivalry so well established. A fly sweep for Austin Collie. Not a lot of room for him east-west. Jason Phillips was chugging to chase him down.
Yeah, Matt Panfield did a nice job, too, coming from underneath, forcing it a little wider and a little wider so that Phillips could get there. You know, your defensive linemen are so often determinators. They determine where the ball goes, and if they make a play, they're not always the center of attention. It's the linebackers that make the play behind them.
Stopping the Mountain West Conference Offensive Player of the Week last week, Austin Collie, has been held in check so far. Third down and short for Max Hall. Vakapuna leads Unga in there. Harvey Unga all the way to midfield. A gain of 13.
Well, there's one way to get your offensive lines confident. Get north and south running. Vakapuna there with a good lead block. Unga, nice job reading it, getting to daylight, going north and south. Got to get north and south, get yards. That's what he's best at. He's not a lateral runner.
Mountain West Conference Freshman of the Year last year, BYU's offensive MVP. shattering marks on his way in Provo. Hall takes a low snap from center. Throws the timing off, but doesn't bother him as he snaps that one on target for Dennis Pitta.
Well, TCU's defense has been playing great. You know, first off, Phillips and TJ Johnson, but then, you know, you've got to be able to play in the secondary to beat BYU. Nick Sanders undercutting that corner route. Jerry Hughes getting big-time pressure. Why? Because there's great coverage. Max Hall has nowhere to go with the ball, so now those are coverage sacks as well as having a lot of speed sacks. That defense playing speed across the ball and dominating all three levels.
Unga tied up around the shoelaces there. Phillips drove in. He led TCU in tackles last year. He's been there. He's seen it all. He's done it all. And this TCU defense ranks so favorably among the nation's best.
Well, you know, you look and all the things they were best at. Well, run defense. Well, 20 yards a game they're giving up. Well, they've given up a little more than that one you saw there, but that was the first half. They are flying to the ball and playing the defense that they've played when you look at that graphic that you saw all year.
Hall, high throw and high in the air. Went Michael Reed to bring it down. Rafael Priest was right in his hip pocket. Reed's another guy from Texas who's got a lot of friends and family in the stands tonight.
Yeah, you know, guys have a lot of pride. They want to come out and play well in front of their family. And tell you what, this BYU team, they need this drive. You got to get something on the board. You got to get going. Why? Rest your defense, number one. Close the gap, number two. Give you guys some confidence.
Last time Reed was here, he and the Cougars picked up a victory. That night was a huge night for former quarterback of BYU, John Beck. Max Hall was hoping this night would be his. So far, it's been all TCU's as Hall scrambles to pick up another low snap from center.
Well, we'll see where this snap was. Dallas Reynolds. Yeah, that ball's real low. Max Hall had to drop down for it. He's trying to look at the coverage he's got going while he's grabbing for that ball. Dallas Reynolds got to do a better job. That's what speed will do to you. Sir, so much speed defensively. Those big linemen are trying to get out of their stances fast. When that happens, you see a lack of focus by the center on that snap.
3rd down and 10. They're on their feet at Amon Carter Stadium. Hall sets, fires, right on the money for Austin Collie. He drives his way inside the 20.
Well, that was a you know, we talk about a great throw by Max Hall, but what a route by Austin Collie. A little stop route, gets himself up the sideline, turn. He's waiting on that ball. That was a great job by both quarterback and wide receiver. You look at this replay, Collie out here, he's going to get up and now stop, come right back towards those sticks. That's a great route. He gets Rafael Priest running and is able to stop and come back for that ball.
Offensive coordinator Robert Anai tells us Collie wants to be an every down wideout, not just a big play home run hitter. As BYU gets into the red zone territory for the first time on the night. Not often against TCU this year. Tight end Pitta hauls in another catch. Robert Henson, TCU's leading tackler, right there for him.
There's the offensive coordinator, Robert Anai. He never seems to ever get flustered. Whether you ask him a question 5 different ways, he doesn't fluster. You look at their offense right now, he's not flustered.
There are times you interrogate him like an attorney, but he will not break.
I can't break that man.
More than halfway through this 3rd quarter. Unga to the 8. Stephen Coleman will be the last man off the pile. Unga gets 4 more. Harvey Unga, if you missed it at the top of the telecast, cleared for play by BYU's compliance office after he missed the charter plane yesterday. There was a complaint about a flag football appearance for Harvey. A little silly it sounds, but he was not with the team when they left Provo yesterday.
They say rules are rules. You can't break them, I understand it, but that's silly. I don't think flag football is going to take anybody's eligibility away, but they certainly had to be very careful there.
Fui Vakapuna leading Harvey Unga into the hole. Coleman wrapped him up. Vakapuna, we've mentioned it, #1 in the white, just a ferocious blocker.
Yeah, he's got what did Robert and I call it? Mana. It's that ability. It's that leadership ability. It's something about him that the rest of the team, and particularly when he's at home, BYU, the fans, they follow him. He's their leader emotionally, and I guess it's more than just emotion. That's how he tried to put it. Mana.
BYU normally converts in these situations. And they get it deep. Vakapuna grappling with Darrell Washington. Jason Phillips and Robert Henson, the outstanding senior linebackers, say that Washington will continue to carry the torch for TCU's linebacking tradition. He's an outstanding athlete.
Well, he is such a physical presence. You know, at 6'3" and 230 pounds, Darrell Washington's a mover. Now, there's Jason Phillips there. He's the coach's son. He's the guy that he knows always going to make the smart move.
Amazingly, a former option quarterback.
Yeah, but he understands the game. He gets it, and you know that he's always going to be where he's supposed to be. Whereas Darrell Washington's that guy you watch and just are amazed by his ability.
Hall running for it himself, and he's cut down. Hall tripped up by Matt Panfill. This will bring up 3rd and goal after a gain of 3.
Speed on defense. It looked like he had a hole that you could drive a truck through. He takes off, and look at Matt Panfill. Right here, he thinks he's got room. And Matt Panfill closes gap fast, gets there, and takes away a touchdown.
Panfill was a safety in high school 60 pounds ago. The big boys are going to be important now. 3rd and goal from the TCU 2. Max Hall wants to throw. Falling down, his throw was low. They're going to have a conference. Pitta says he had his hands under it. Still no call.
Well, here's the replay. He just loses his footing, and that ball bounces easily. That's an easy call to make.
4th down.
Great job on the replay. Our camera people are giving us there.
The officials all looked at each other. You going to call it? Am I going to call it? You going to call it? Nobody called it.
Now here, you would think, wouldn't it be nice if you were BYU, if you had tried something to get 3 points before half? This would be a very different situation right now.
They failed on a 4th and 1 back in the opening half. This is 4th and goal. Hall tucks it down. Hall on his way. Touchdown! Max Hall gets BYU on the board. A 2-yard sprint when they needed it.
Things break down. One wonders if that's design or not. He's back, he looks, and then he just takes off. You wonder if it's a design, I've got one read and then go, because of the way they spread them out, or do they not trust Max to run? Who knows?
Mitch Payne for the extra point. A little crooked, but effective. Max Hall leading the applause, cheering for himself as the QB hits pay dirt on Versus. Back in 2005 here at Carter Stadium, TCU snapped Utah's then 18-game win streak. They are trying to rip BYU from the ranks of unbeaten tonight. The Cougars just getting themselves on the board. It's 26-7. Max Hall on a 2-yard dive. A drive that took all of 7 minutes plus. A short kickoff. Juggled. This time, Aaron Brown will not go far. TCU gets the football back when you return. 4:23 to go, quarter number 3, with Mountain West Conference football on Versus. There's been plenty to cheer about for TCU tonight in Fort Worth, Texas. Gary Patterson said all of the Metroplex would be needed to help put down BYU. So far, so good, 26-7 for the 24th ranked team in the land. Dalton throws, and just ahead of the outstretched arms of Walter Bryant. Folks, let's look at what teams are on top in the lows building towards the BCS. The BCS first ranking comes out this weekend. Texas finds itself on top right now.
Well, Texas on the backs of that big win over Oklahoma. Alabama, a couple of good wins. You know, Texas Tech down there really struggled against Nebraska, went into overtime this last week, so they're right there. And then from there on out, you can see it's anybody's game. So really, there's still a one-loss team in the top 5. It's not over when you lose a game right now.
Ryan Christian stopped for a gain of 2. So let the debate begin, Glenn. Which is the better conference, the Big 12 or the SEC?
Well, you know, I think that'll be settled come bowl time. You know, it's too hard to tell when not everybody, you don't have to play everybody in your conference. You have a lot of out-of-conference games. You don't necessarily play each other until bowl time. We'll find out more when the teams face each other come bowl time. But right now, Big 12 might seem to have a bit of an edge with the way they're playing football.
TCU, BYU, Utah standing on top in the Mountain West Conference. Joe Beninati, Glenn Parker, Tim Neverett with you tonight. Dalton will run, and he's got room diving out across the 35. Brandon Howard covered him up. And Dalton is extremely pleased with the way things are running, and well, he should be.
Well, now, you know, you get Dalton running and getting yards, you put a new wrinkle in this offense all of a sudden. You haven't seen him. He has run in the past, but not tonight. And now that gives BYU one more thing to think about. Trying to stop this so far has been a juggernaut of an offense.
They've had a great scheme. Play action pass. Dalton looking for Young, laying out. And they're going to say he caught that inbounds. Great extension for Jimmy Young and a gain of 24.
Great extension. If you'll watch this, there's someone right at his feet. Andy Dalton gets it out there. Look at Young, gets his hands turned over, his thumbs underneath. That's classic wide receiver play. My good friend Sterling Sharp telling me about how to catch that ball. As much as I had so many opportunities at the tackle or guard spot throughout my career, he's the one that informed me how to catch the ball properly.
That was marvelous from the former first-team All-Stater out of Louisiana. Dalton with a big pump fake and the go, looking for Hicks. And Hicks launched himself into the air. Was begging for a call. None comes from the official.
When they watch that one on tomorrow afternoon, Andy Dalton will be sick. He had Shea Reagan running right down the middle of the field. Here, little pump and go. Hicks is out there. That's a little bit of contact, not enough to call. He just doesn't get himself there. They're going to watch the film, though, and see Shea Reagan running right down the seam, wide open.
Antoine Hicks, originally signed to play at the University of Texas. Gary Patterson now has him on his TCU squad, and this is 2nd and 10. Brown fidgeting his way along the line of scrimmage. Tied up there by Matt Putnam. Folks, so this is a big one for TCU, and it's a great opportunity in Gary Patterson's mind for the Mountain West.
I think what we have is that we have a chance, you know, by being on national TV, a lot of times we have an opportunity to be able to show people that, that we're a conference to be reckoned with, and you got to go out and play those games, not necessarily in conference, but out of conference and win them. And if we're able to do that and be part of something, I've always felt like this was a gold mine coming this direction. It was only a matter of time with the 85 scholarships, academic requirements, that the Mountain West was going to keep growing, and I think we are.
Well, this time they bring Curley in that spot, Joe, and BYU's ready for it. Matt Bauman, great job out of his Mike Backer spot, getting into the backfield, making Curley make some moves and allowing some of the other guys like Jan Jorgensen and whatnot to get in there and make the play.
Mountain West Conference teams collectively, just piggybacking off of Gary Patterson, 23 non-conference wins this year, one off the conference record, and obviously we've got a few more regular season non-conference games to come and all those bowl opportunities.
Got to get out, you got to play the big boys to get noticed, and they've done a great job of doing that.
4th and short, TCU should claim the first down yardage. Despite the best efforts of David Tafuna and Kellen Fowler.
This is where if you're an offensive team.
Face mask. Number 23 of the defense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
This is where as an offensive team in TCU, you look to reach in and rip their heart out, and that's what they're doing. You look at Big Turner here buckling his way through, and there's a great view of that face mask, 15-yarder. Now you've got yourself in a position, you're back in the red zone. TCU coming into this game had scored 72% of the time touchdowns. Now they're 86 or better than 86% in the red zone scoring, but 72% of the time touchdowns. They've done better than that tonight, or about that tonight, excuse me.
2 tight end set. Time is dripping off the game clock. Christian drags it to the 10. There's a flag down as Ryan Christian was pulled back. TCU has been ruthlessly efficient in the red zone tonight, on the way to a 26-7 lead.
There is no foul for illegal motion on the play. Down.
Referee tonight is Terry Layden. Bronco Mendenhall, anxious moments on that BYU sideline.
Well, he realizes how important this stop is. You've got to stop them. You've got to hold them to 3 so you can get into the fourth quarter and try to close the gap a bit.
Running straight ahead, it's Christian again with a nose for the goal line. He gets to the 5. Fowler dropped him there. Mendenhall during the week said we haven't played up to our full potential yet. He knew the most meaningful and significant games were ahead of him, starting with this one against TCU, and the Horned Frogs are knocking on the door again.
Well, the Horned Frogs have been they had a really big game against Oklahoma. They've played well to this point. They had a lot of pride. They knew that their record on Thursdays weren't good. They had a lot of, obviously playing team ranked as high as BYU, they had a lot of drive coming into this game, and they focused it very, very well. BYU now has to figure out that way to regroup and get back to where they want to be in this game.
These two teams have won the last 3 Mountain West Conference championships. Look at what TCU has done, the damage they've inflicted from the red zone tonight. And they are facing a short yardage situation with the ball resting at the BYU 5. Bringing in Justin Watts and bringing in Joseph Turner, big bodies in the backfield.
Now, my math's not great, but 2 out of 3 gives us 66% touchdowns in the red zone tonight.
Well, your math was money right there.
Simple math I can handle.
Jan Jorgensen hoping his BYU Cougars can step in here. Turner bounces it outside, and he'll walk it in. A 5-yard stroll.
Turner, the big back, the bruiser. Good job of seeing the hold close, run to daylight. We say it, especially on the goal line. Everybody's packed in to get yourself an edge, take off running.
He leads the Mountain West Conference in rushing touchdowns this year. Turner gets himself another one. Look at Evans, he pushed it again. The true freshman missed another extra point, the 4th on the season, the 2nd of the night. And the lead is 32-7.
You get a look at this touchdown. You're going to see this side of the line is going to crash down. Once he comes in, he just bounces. You know, it's a pretty simple football. See, there's no gap. There's color, and that's what he's looking at. So he takes off, and now because of the great block by Shea Reagan pushing that corner in, he's got enough room to turn that corner, use his speed. And when you got a back that big, gets a head of steam going, even if you have an angle, it's tough to stop.
He's Glenn Barker. I'm Joe Beninati up in the booth. Tim Neverett has been patrolling the sidelines. Ted Robinson, Roland Williams, Dale Hellestray joining us at College Football Central on Versus. They've been with us throughout the night. O'Neal Chambers needs to cut something loose now for BYU. And of course, Drew Combs and the Horned Frogs want to hear none of that. The 4th quarter for TCU this season. They are 6-1 heading into tonight's play. The 4th quarter has been devastating, and they already own a very, very healthy lead. From the 12, Chambers tiptoes across the 35. Folks, coming up next, Soup's On. Versus new original series, Sports Soup, hosted by comedian Matt Eisman. It continues, featuring the week's best highlights, lowlights, and everything in between. It's the hilarious show that sports writes. Sports Soup coming up next, immediately following our game, right here on Versus. A show that debuted back on Tuesday. Very funny stuff for Matt Eisman and friends.
Not so funny for BYU right now.
Not at all.
And I'll tell you, if I was to tell you, as a TCU fan, you've got a great speed, ball-hawking defense, and you're going to have a 32-7 lead to start that 4th quarter, you would lick your chops.
You're liking your chances.
Absolutely, you would.
Austin Collie on that little comeback route. 4 fingers extended. 4th quarter next at Amon Carter Stadium. 32-7 for TCU. Upset alert in the works. So here's BYU in its best 4-game defensive stretch in 70 years, where they'd only allowed 17 points. You look at the line score tonight. They've been punctured for 32 by Gary Patterson's troops. And now a dramatic fourth-quarter comeback has to be theirs, or else they will fall from the ranks of unbeaten. Wide open down that sideline, and it took a little too much time to get to Michael Reed. There is a flag down.
I think they're going to get defensive holding on the safety, Steve Coleman, grabbing Dennis Pitta. At least that's the area where they threw it. We'll see what happens.
Holding. Number 4 of the defense. 10-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Yeah, Stephen Coleman there. If you watch, you're going to look at Dennis Pitta, bottom of your screen, coming here. Gets up, gets right into the face, and just gets taken down by Coleman. Now, you would say, well, you know, Pitta runs him over. Yeah, but you can run a guy over. You can't take a guy down. There's the difference.
The BYU squad with Max Hall at the controls. It averages better than 320 yards per game passing. Been kept in check by TCU's speed-filled defense. On 1st and 10, Hall will throw. Shakes loose into the flat. Picks up a safety valve, and Vakapuna is undercut by Coleman after a pickup of 8.
I'll tell you, Jerry Hughes just too fast right now for David Oswald. He's getting around that corner so fast. Max Hall has to tuck it, step forward, and then find the outlet. The quarterback, Max Hall, at this point, he's not even getting into his progression. He's having to get out of the way of the rush so fast.
Oswald, 6'8", 330, a dual citizen, United States and Switzerland. He speaks German. TCU just vicious in the fourth quarter this year. 62-zip. Hall rips one out there, knocked down away from Reed. Raphael Priest was there, and he may have been there too early.
We're going to have Stephen Coleman again on Dennis Pitta, I believe. They're calling that, and then they're going to call the interference on the side. There's a couple of flags.
Personal foul. Grasping the face mask. Number 4 of the defense, 15 yards. Automatic first down.
Coleman's upset at Pitta because Pitta hit him and knocked him over the last time, and so he dragged him down, and this time he gets his hands up into the face mask and gets called for it now. He's got to get his head back in the game and realize we've got a 32-7 lead. I have to play with poise, and I have to play like a leader.
TCU 11 penalties last week, better than 110 yards in their win over Colorado State. They've been flagged 8 times tonight. We are in the first minute of the fourth with Mountain West Conference football on Versus. 2 ranked teams in the top 25. Don't forget Utah, also of the Mountain West, sitting there in Salt Lake City and going, this is getting more interesting. Hall floats it to the corner, and it's incomplete. Again, Priest in coverage on Reed.
And that'll be a penalty on BYU, grabbing the back of the helmet. That was Michael Reed. He grabbed the back of Raphael Priest's helmet when he was on the ground. That probably will be on Michael Reed.
Reed, who missed a couple of games with a knee injury, back in the lineup now.
And you'll take a look here. This is not what the penalty's about. This is just a nice bit of defense.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 10 of the defense.
Wow.
Half the distance to the goal, first down.
You know, maybe the reason he was grabbing the back of the helmet was because he was giving him the business. You see, he's got a hand on the face there a little bit. He keeps his on there. You know what? I think that's Michael Reed. I think they got the guy who swung second, and Michael Reed did a good job grabbing the helmet. He took his swing, and they got the 15 yards. Unfortunately, the officials didn't see the first part of that play.
Cougars trying to carve into the lead now. Hall out of the gun. Over the middle, knocked away. Coleman got in there swiftly on Austin College. The recovery and closing speed of Coleman on display.
Yeah, you know, right across the middle, you look at Colley coming right there, right at the ref. That's just a good job of Coleman getting there. The ref looked a bit surprised to see that leather object flying right at his head.
2nd and 10 for BYU. Tulsa, the last team to beat them. The nation's longest win streak in jeopardy. Hall ripped it right in there for Pitta. It was incomplete.
Well, that's a bad decision by Hall. Number one, he's throwing behind his receiver, and he's throwing the ball way too hard.
That was a tough throw to fit in.
He's trying to fit it in. He's a little desperate right now. He's really trying to fit that ball in. And you know what? You just got to be a little smarter than that. I know he wants to win. I know he's anxious. I know he's upset. But you got to give yourself a chance to fight the next day. And that ball, too easy to get bounced up, picked, or whatever else can happen to you bad on a play like that.
Came into tonight's game for the moment with the best winning percentage of any BYU QB starter, that is, ever. And they've had some pretty good ones in Provo. Hall, pump fake, corner, great deflection there. Excellent defense by T.J. Johnson, preventing Pitta from a score.
Dennis Pitta's talking to the field judge saying, hey, I got tripped here. You watch here as Hall steps back. This ball gets out there. Pitta thinks he gets tripped. But you know what? That's incidental. And the fact is, Coleman's all over that ball. That's a great defensive play.
Sophomore from Garland, Texas. 4th down. BYU will go for it again for the 3rd time tonight. They can get a first down inside the 1. Hall hums it. It's picked. Picked off by Nick Sanders, his 2nd of the night. And the celebration in Fort Worth is getting livelier by the moment.
Well, you'll take a look here. Rafael Priest, as this ball comes across, he gets himself right there. I'm sorry, Sanders does a nice job undercutting Colley with that ball, and then runs out the back of the end zone. Take a look. There's the ball.
The play of the corners, so important. Nick Sanders, Rafael Priest, both 3-year starters. TCU and New Mexico, the only schools in the Mountain West Conference to have 2 3-year starters at the corner positions. And those veterans helping to lead the charge tonight. For Sanders, the 2nd time in his career that he's had a 2-pick game. He had one against Army back in '06. And Max Hall beleaguered on that bench, while Sanders is telling his teammates about it. Jeremy Curley starts in that shotgun set, normally a wideout, dragged down by Jan Jorgensen. 32-7 for TCU as we make time for Tim Neverett.
Well, when you talk about TCU, you talk about speed, and the young woman I'm standing with right now is fresh back from her first Olympic Games in Beijing, competing in the 100-meter dash and the 200-meter dash. I was in the bird's nest when I saw you run in the quarterfinals. You're one of the fastest women in the world. Your eligibility's up. Now you're going pro.
Yes, definitely. It was a great experience. I'm happy to be an alumni for Horned Frogs. I did have a great time running here at TCU, and I'm grateful that, you know, I have my fellow competitors and fellow Horned Frogs to support me at the Olympics.
Again, Virgil, this was an unbelievable career for you that you had at TCU. How did it translate and help you get into the Olympic Games?
Going through it, for my freshman year, coming to TCU, had a great coaches. Coach Anderson definitely helped me get that far, and he's taught me a bunch of stuff, and I took it and I really put it together mentally and physically, and helped me to grow, you know, at the Olympic Games.
She's certainly one of the fastest people on campus here. Maybe she could play defensive end for the Horned Frogs. She's also a pop star, Joe.
You've told me she can sing.
She can sing. She's got a single out right now.
She ran 11.45 in the 100 meters in Beijing. She was the country's flag bearer for St. Kitts and Nevis. Virgil Hodge, TCU student, can flat out fly 100 and 200 meter sprinter. And she's got to be thrilled with the football efforts tonight. 32-7. TCU is taking apart BYU's perfect record. Right up the gut. The mission now to drain time off the game clock.
It is to drain time, but in the course of doing that, you have to protect yourself, number one, try to get yards, number two, and also see if they end up bringing in some of the younger guys to give them a little more experience now, because as this goes on, as they face tougher and tougher opponents, they're going to want to have some guys that have some time in there.
Aaron Brown in the backfield with Andy Dalton. Bart Johnson in motion. They run the quick option pitch for Brown. He's hammered by Jorgensen, who came at him like a freight train. A pickup of 7. This is a BYU squad enjoying its longest win streak since 2001. It stands at 16. It's the longest active in the nation.
Yeah, and I think even more important for BYU, or more disappointing, so to speak, is their last Mountain West Conference loss. When you look at that all the way back in 2005, that was a streak I know that they're plenty proud of. It's being such a tough conference, as we know, and losing that streak, I think, hurts them more.
They've won 16 in a row at home, 2 at LaVell Edwards Stadium. They host UNLV in Provo on the 25th. 4 minutes down in quarter 4. TCU using that running game with Ryan Christian.
Right there, Ryan Christian has to be a little smarter than that. He gets through, then he decides to go laterally. He only had about a yard to go to get that first down, move the chains, eat clock, and instead he decides to go laterally, gets caught, ends up in a 4th and 2 now.
Horned Frogs like to keep people off balance with Christian. You never know where he's going to line up.
He does run bigger than his size. He's not a big guy, but he does put his head down, drive his legs well. But right there is a position where he needed to do that rather than to skip sideways.
That's Reed White getting back into punt return position. Anson Kelton, all 260 pounds of punter. Booms this one, a towering shot. Bounces, lands close to that goal line. Excellent special teams work, as they will pin BYU deep after a 44-yard punt. TCU leads by 20. Time's a wasting for BYU. 10:15 to go in the 4th quarter, and they've got plenty of real estate in front of them after being trapped at the 1-yard line. Anson Kelton, the special teams player of the week in the Mountain West Conference. Outstanding work against Colorado State. He put 3 punts inside the 10. This one tagged down at the 1. And Jerry Hughes is ready to get after Max Hall. He'll throw from his own end zone. Looking long. Collie had a step, and it's deflected. Collie catches it. A remarkable grab and into TCU territory.
I don't care if you're up 32-7, that play happens and your coaches are screaming at you. This is simple. Collie, one dip, he's past Priest, and now Coleman's angle wasn't good enough to affect the play. Priest has to up and end it. I'll tell you right now, they will get an earful tomorrow about that one.
Harvey Unga straight ahead, breaking through the tackles of a couple of Horned Frogs before Henson stopped him. Austin Collie among the top 3 in the nation in terms of yards receiving per game. Reminder coming up, Sports Soup. Once we are through, Sports Soup hosted by Matt Eisman will come your way on Versus. That show premiered and debuted on Tuesday night. We hope you'll stick around once we are through here in Fort Worth. There's movement before the snap.
Well, that'll probably be on the defense encroachment, causing the offense to move.
Prior to the snap, false start offensive line BYU.
See, they get me.
Penalty. 2nd down.
They get me. I was watching. I could have sworn I saw the D jump first, but I'm always trying to protect the big guys, aren't I?
That you are. Travis Bright, BYU's strongest player. What's that expression? You can lift the weight room. Look at all the penalties tonight. Divvied out between these two. 2nd and 9. Colley yanked to the turf. Max Hall was the quarterback looking for Austin Colley. Cody Moore said, no, you don't.
You have to credit Cody Moore. This is a great job of a bull rush. And he just pushes and pushes and pushes right back to the quarterback. That's a fantastic job against Ray Finga there. Ray Finga is one of the strongest guys on the field. And I'll tell you right now, Cody Moore pushed him straight back with the bull rush.
The sack totals continue for the national leader in that department. Cody Moore, a former running back in high school, got a hold on the Hall. Max Hall throws high for his tight end, Andrew George. BYU has stared down so many 3rd and longs tonight. I would easily say more than in almost the composite of their first 6 wins.
Yeah, and you know, you gotta credit TCU. They're putting him in this position. You know, there's a little bit of pressure here on Max. He's getting a little gun shy. You look down the field though, there's nowhere to throw that ball. They understood the route, they understood the spacing on offense and where that ball was gonna go. They were there.
Gotta go for it on 4th and 12. Max Hall finds his man over the middle. It's the tight end. He's always looking for Colley. He's always looking for Pitta. This time he chooses the tight end, Pitta, deep into TCU territory. Robert and I likes to make the analogy, hey, just throw to your best friend like you're playing in the backyard.
Yeah, he says just run to an open spot on the field, play catch. That's what you're supposed to do.
We know Hall's best friends are Pitta and Colley. 32-7 for TCU. Max Hall rockets one off the hands of Michael Reed. Max Hall on the night, better than 250 yards through the air. Completion percentage nowhere near where it normally is, and those 2 valuable picks.
He hasn't completed 50% of his passes. You talk about the 2 interceptions. You know, it's hard to win ball games giving the ball up, number one. It's very hard to win when you can't complete passes.
Hall slings it for Pitta again, getting a step on Stephen Hodge. Give him 8.
Well, when they've been successful throwing the ball is because they're running whip routes, stop routes. They're getting the defenders running and then stopping. Almost like you would do misdirection in the run game. That's when they've been successful in the pass game. This is where they can get the defense moving and then stop into a window.
Hall sets his feet, floats it out there for Unga. Harvey Unga collared at the 8. Darrell Washington came flying to get him along with Robert Henson. And here's Unga, who won the Steve Young Offensive MVP Award for BYU a season ago. Shattered Dontrell Moore's record for all-purpose yards in one campaign. And for the most part, TCU has done a very, very effective job on him. 1st and goal. Hall rattled in the pocket, and down he goes again. John Fanua comes out with the football, too.
And he'll take a penalty for throwing the ball. He's fired up, got himself. Now look at Gary Patterson's going to be right in his face, saying, you got a sack, but you're selfish. You threw the ball down and you took 15 yards. I don't care if you're up 32-7. You never stop teaching discipline, and that's what Gary Patterson's doing right there. Great job. There was a sack. The ball came out. You got it. But think of the team first, not yourself and what you're trying to accomplish.
We need to step away. It's been a rough night for Max Hall. Fanua finds himself with a football on Versus. Just over 7 minutes away from the real cheering starting. TCU with a healthy lead on visiting BYU, and the purple-clad faithful love it. TCU at 6-1, BYU at 6-0. Horned Frogs trying to add to their Mountain West Conference record. Moved to 4-0 in that regard. A couple of years ago, John Beck came to town here in Fort Worth and led his team to a big win.
A big win with Reed catching that pass, finding Allen here on this one, and of course If you remember those teams, you remember Beck and you remember that tight end, Johnny Harleen, one of the best in the business for a few years there. They came in and they got the big upset over TCU.
The year before that, it was 51-50 in overtime in Provo. Last year, BYU lost the turnover battle but won the game dramatically in the fourth quarter in the final minutes. And TCU is in the catbird seat right now with Joseph Turner banging his way out close to the 20, tripped up by Kellen Fowler after a pickup of 10.
And there's your bruising back, Joseph Turner. He's the guy you want to give the ball to when you want to get those 2 yards, when you want to run a 7-minute offense, so to speak. You've got 7 minutes. You'd like to own the ball till the end of this game now.
TCU has done so many things extraordinarily well tonight, starting first and foremost with that speedy defense. And Glenn, when you think about it around the nation, how might they rank up there as Curley goes sweeping off the end? We get this chance here to send you back to College Football Central on Versus. Here's Ted.
Well, Joe, one other game on Thursday night. Florida State trailing early fourth quarter, but Christian Ponder's swing pass to Burt Reed turns into a touchdown. The Seminoles add 2 field goals, and they move to 5-1 with the win in Raleigh. Joe?
FSU, as we play alphabet soup, TCU, BYU. Horned Frogs had lost 5 straight Thursday night decisions prior to this one. Looks like they're going to make amends in just over 5 minutes time. Turner banging his way closer to the 28 as we share some time with Tim Neverett.
Well, it's a tale of 2 benches right now, Joe. You look at the TCU bench, everybody's up. They've been fired up ever since the first turnover in the first quarter. Then you go to the other side of the field, and it's been more like a mausoleum on the BYU sideline. They've been flat since the first quarter, and they've been flat the whole game, and it's been very, very quiet there. This field at Amon Carter Stadium was the field in 2005 that snapped an 18-game winning streak when the Utah Utes had an 18-game winning streak, which was the second longest in the nation at that time. TCU would win in overtime. BYU has an 18-game conference winning streak on the line here tonight, and of course the nation's best winning streak and longest winning streak at 16 straight. So this field could be the field where streaks come to die.
TCU, Tim, joined the Mountain West in 05, wound up going 8-0, won the conference title. They would have qualified for a BCS game if the new rules, if the rules of today were in place regarding those top 12. But TCU handing BYU its lunch in this game early, struck quickly with 2 touchdowns in the game's first 5 minutes, and never relinquished their hold.
We talked about coming into this game about the defense for TCU, the offense for BYU, which one would win, and what would be that X factor? Well, the X factor turned out to be TCU's offense. Efficient, big play right off the bat for that touchdown, first play, boom. They came out, they were the X factor. They've dominated along the line of scrimmage offensively.
A fumbled snap. Andy Dalton diving back on it. I'd also throw in there the way they utilized Jeremy Curley and seemingly surprised BYU.
He's the X factor for the X factor, you might say. That's exactly what he did. Here's the ball on the ground. Now, Coach Patterson's not going to let that one go. He's going to get very upset the fact that you've got less than 4 minutes to go and you're putting the ball on the ground. You can't have that. You can't have a lack of focus or a lack of discipline.
Next up for TCU, they'll be squaring off with a reeling Wyoming squad here on the 25th. They open up November at UNLV. The Horned Frogs in the running for a Mountain West Conference title this season. And that takes an improvement with the way this game is turning out. Speaking of the conference standings, of course, Utah factors prominently just the same.
Well, yeah, and we talked about the round robin. That is Utah, TCU, and BYU right now. TCU's getting the edge here, obviously, and then it'll come down to how do they fall out in the next 3, 4, 5 weeks, where we go to who wins this conference.
So we will churn up the interesting debate about BYU, whether or not they're the best team now in the state of Utah. After we see this performance, the Utes and Cougars, of course, will have their way with one another in late November. BYU comes to Texas tonight. Bronco Mendenhall's side is on its way to falling and seeing its lengthy win streak shattered. We'll continue to close it up for you with college football on Versus. Dejection written all over that face of a BYU fan in the stands here in Fort Worth, Texas, where the homestanding Horned Frogs are about to put an end to BYU's unbeaten roll with college football on Versus. It will be the end of the nation's longest win streak. Bronco Mendenhall began this year with a slogan of quest for perfection. In Bronco's eyes, that will not end with this defeat tonight. In his eyes, it's more about their faith and how they conduct themselves on and off the field.
Yeah, there's a lot more to BYU than football, and there's a lot more to this football team than football. BYU, Coach Mendenhall, it's not just about being on the field. It's about being teammates. It's about being family men. It's about their faith. It's all that tied into one big bundle for BYU.
Another running play into the waiting arms of Sean Doman. 2:20 left in this one. Our Lee Jeans quality player of the game does his best work in TCU secondary, Nick Sanders.
Nick Sanders, great job right here. He undercuts the corner route for a great pick, and then here we are in the end zone. Finds himself right there underneath Austin Collie. Guy was a ball hawk all day. Great job by him. Lee Jeans, player of the game.
Among all the streaks that will come crashing to earth for BYU, this one is awfully impressive. 11 straight Mountain West Conference road victories. That will fall tonight. Ball's free, and Doman comes out of the pack with it, with whistles blaring and a flag down.
Terry Layden's going to get the call here and hopefully tell us what's going on.
Dead ball, personal foul. Late hit, number 22 defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Andrew Rich with the late hit. He's pleading his case. He's trying to figure out what he did wrong. So he's asking, what did I do?
Reminder, Sports Soup is coming up on Versus. Plenty of verbal bloops and blunders in the sports world. All headed up by comedian Matt Eisman. That follows our game here in Fort Worth. Glenn, since January, there's been a helmet on a blocking dummy here in Fort Worth with a big Y on it. They were setting their targets, setting their mark for BYU, knew they would come here more than likely unbeaten, and TCU has accomplished its mission. One of many still to come in the second half of the year.
Well, Coach Gary Patterson understands you've got to focus, and it's not just you have to focus on the little things, and then each goal gets bigger, and you have to have that one thing that you're aiming at. And they did a very nice job when we were in meetings with them, talking to them in the past, that they understand that it's more than just one game. It's winning the conference. It's beating BYU. They put their sights on this game, and they are successful in it.
They've won 29 of 33 here. They're on a pace to break the school record for points in a single season. They put 32 on BYU, a team that came in just with a vice grip defense. And all of that is squashed at Amon Carter Stadium. They pour off the sideline. Led by Gary Patterson, they snap the longest active win streak in the nation. BYU's 16-game roll is done.
Speed, lots of speed. Speed on defense, speed in their decision-making on offense. Across the board, TCU was decisive, and they played with speed, and they were quick, and they never hurried, to quote Mr. Wooden.
TCU fans absolutely beside themselves as the Horned Frogs down the Cougars by the final count of 32-7. BYU falls to 6-1. TCU improves to 7-1. And there's a whole lot of shouting going on, Glenn Parker, right now, I am sure, in Salt Lake City, the home of the University of Utah.
Yeah, Utah's awfully happy because that rivalry is like any other in college football. Yeah, you'd love to have played them undefeated, but it's your rival. They lost. You're happy. Now, It sets up a big game with TCU coming up, though.
TCU next in line for them. They square off with Wyoming. For Glenn Parker, for Tim Neverett, for all the men and women in our crew, Joe Beninati thanking you for your time. Reminder, on Saturday, there's plenty more college football on versus Nebraska and Iowa State, Oregon State and Washington. But coming up next, stay right there in your seats. Up next on Versus, it's Sports Soup. TCU, big winner in Fort Worth tonight.